Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Antonieta. How are you today?
Hi. Can you see me?
I do see you, and thank you so much for accepting my invitation. I'm very happy.
Yes, of course. Well, thank you for inviting me onto your platform to have this discussion.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is what I tell my guests. I'm always swimming on Instagram looking for inspiring profiles, see their videos. And so the point of my lives or the turning point is instead of getting to know someone, I just I get to know them with an audience. I like your profile, your purpose, and I just feel you have you can see that's positive energy and it's all about empowering others. You're a coach. I still people, by the way, this is our first real conversation live in front of you.
Oh, wait, what do you mean? So, first real conversation. Tell me more. How is this the first one?
No, I mean like face to face. You see me, and we get to know each other's purpose in life. I mean, I was like all over your platforms, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to talk to her.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for exploring my page and platform. I mean, this is kind of the beauty of social media world where you get to meet people from afar and you meet them first time just in the virtual world and you can get connected.
Exactly.
It's kind of a nice, beautiful thing. Along with, there's other pros and cons to this world of social media.
Of course, yeah, but I feel like the pros are more, especially when you are, you're. So I don't know who said this, but he said when you're doing something either nice or good, like fame and having like an audience, it just magnifies who you are.
Mm.
So when you're spreading positivity and you're trying to help others, it just becomes, instead of helping maybe one person, maybe a family member or yourself, you're helping like hundreds, and that's the beauty of social media, I think.
Yes, absolutely. You can definitely reach many more people, across the globe as opposed to just in your own country or city. So it definitely
Exactly.
is a great resource to connect people around the world.
Yeah, I love that. So okay, so can you like introduce yourself? Who's Antonieta? Where are you from? Whatever you feel comfortable sharing about you to our audience.
Sure. So I just want to say thank you and hello to everybody who's watching on this live right now, and thank you for tuning into the conversation. Get to connect and get to know each other. So my full name is Antonieta Robino. I know it's not the easiest name to say, but if you just pronounce it with the Italian accent, you can probably get it right. So I am a personal life coach for working women in 9 to 5. I also do work with corporate executives as well with personal life coaching. So that is my main role and life purpose. I do own a second business, which is an online e-commerce business, and there's a few other projects that I'm up to right now as well. I also am the main host of a podcast. So my partner and I have our season 2 launching the end of this month for our podcast.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so it's a very fun podcast. And the topic and purpose of that, along with, what I do in my life purpose of coaching, is to speak about personal development on this podcast. So the podcast really is to share information for anybody who's, interested to learn about personal development. And there's a lot of fun entertainment. So it could be
I love that.
it's a very easy listen. And, people can join into the conversation. So check out the podcast. It's on my profile, Midweek
Of
Pump.
course.
But so that's the fun, and that's a service project. And what I do in my regular work and what I do in my purpose work is coaching women in full life balance. And what that really looks like is coaching them and mentoring them to balance out their life in the mind, body, and spirit, so that they can
Beautiful.
live this life that is so vast and diverse and is very distracting to all of us. And of course, society has us pulled in so many ways, and there's a lot of things that we can take us away from who we are and being centered. And so to live out a life powerfully, we often at times don't live so authentic to what we want, and we're living a life for others or living a life because of past experiences or traumatic experiences. And so it's our,
Yeah.
our power is lost, right? Our power is lost. And so then we end up living this life that goes on for generations. And it's like, was that for me? Was
Correct.
that really what I wanted? And so my whole approach and purpose is really to have women come back to authentically who they are, take away all of the distractions and any past, traumas or emotional behaviors that really hold them back from living this powerful, authentic, confident woman.
Oh my God, that's very dear to my heart. I'm glad you're here with that.
Right.
Like, as you know, especially like women, everybody, but especially women, let's say after divorce, or you struggle to get out of that emotional blockage. You just feel like it's very hard to so we all try to start that healing journey, and it's very important to have someone like you to just have that piece of advice, the guidance. So I'm proud of you, and I love women who do things like this to help others and guide them to be, to get to like mindfulness and heal themselves. Now, what made you, so basically the concept of the turning point is to basically, as I mentioned before, to get to know people from all walks of life, and people who have achieved like a certain success in different area, like for example coaching, and also know when, why, or to learn about that aha moment. When did you like decide to do this? You're like, this is what I like to do. This is my purpose. This is my passion. Like what's the story behind that?
Yes. So there's a bit more of the pre-context to the aha moment, and I'll get to the aha moment, but what I'll share is, like a little bit of the history of my life journey was not an easy road. As much as people may come around and, see what they see of the first image value, it's like, oh, she lives this fabulous life and beautiful girl and so forth.
Yeah.
However, I don't know the deeper journey, which is what everybody has, is a story to tell, right?
Sure.
In my story, I did have a lot of years where I went through really traumatic moments, really traumatic experiences. I had a lot of downfalls that were, racial abuse, a lot of toxic relationships, molestation. I went through a lot of deep stuff in my child years and my adolescent years and growing up. And so this is where it's so important for me to work with women to, really bring them back to their powerful life today, aside from anything that they've been through in their history, in their journey of life. Because when we can really grow through that, then we become our most powerful self. And
Right.
so I'll say, where I got to my aha is there was quite a few relationships that kind of went through the same moments that I was experiencing. And that is where we fall into self-sabotage, right? And I'm sure many fall into this cycle of self-sabotage, but we don't own up to it. And so I got to a point where it was my late 20s. I had a very toxic relationship that I was in with a partner, and it was sort of a repeat scenario from another relationship I had prior in my teenage years. And it just became a kind of a repeat scenario with these relationships that I was depleted and I was done, feeling depressed, like delusional. I was done feeling in the internal, background, like I was hopeless.
Yeah.
And it came to a point where I was like, there's something that I'm not understanding for myself. And as much as I came to a point of there was attempted suicide. And so, I'm not going to go into all of like the nitty gritty maybe today, but, anybody can learn my life journey. You can read it up on my website and so forth. But there was a point where I just came to that, I got to get out of this. This is a repeat cycle, and there's something I don't know for myself, and I'm going to find out. And that's where it was a breaking point, because I went into a year of depression from that relationship in my late 20s. I lost a lot. I lost my job. I almost lost everything. I became anorexic, and it was just to a breaking point where I need to fix this. I've already gone down the road where I tried to attempt suicide in my younger years, and you know, it was just a hopeless road for me, and I knew that wasn't the answer again. My aha moment came, and gratefully, and this is where I, you know, have found my spiritual path, was in a dark, dark moment in my year of depression. I had an aha with a spiritual enlightenment, and there was definitely a very clear message sent to me to say, you're going to get out of this, and you're going to come out of this stronger than ever. And that was where it was just too powerful. It was just too strong for me to not recognize that it was the ego mind, or it was, you know, the toxic thoughts that were accumulating from all of the experiences. It was much more different. It was much more different of a message to say,
beautiful,
you're going to get out of this, and you're going to become even more powerful, and you're going to grow. And I knew that there was something that was pulling me to, okay, get up, let's go, and let's, you know, take off. So I'll say that was where, you know, like my first aha was, you know, a very spiritual message that came to me. And from there, I just then started to take baby steps to grow mentally, physically, spiritually. I became very obsessed with personal development, and I started to get into courses and learn from like the big mentors of the world, right?
I love that.
That's where I really started to grow and understand where, you know, the training of our mindset and our thoughts can really dictate how we live our life. And that's where I became so enthusiastic of understanding how this works for us. And once I went through that process and training and all the courses that I did, I knew I wanted to teach other women to get themselves out of the same position by the power of personal development, by the power of understanding our own, you know, mind, body, and spirit.
Oh my God, that's I love that, you know. And it's beautiful, like you know, I feel like we all, many of us have this point in common when you just get I don't know how to say it, like you hit your worst and then you're like, I'm done with this. I'm done with feeling this way. And yeah, I kind of went through the same thing, and at some point in my life I was like, okay, if I still have to live this life, even though I don't like it, you know, sometimes you're really depressed, you go through a lot. And as you mentioned, you're just like sick of being, or feeling this way. It's just torture. And same as you, I'm like, you know, I'm sure there's a better way to live. And then you decide to start your healing journey. I started my healing journey by first like praying and reading like books. And the beautiful thing, I'm sure you experienced the same thing. Let's say, for example, as soon as you feel there is hope, and as soon as you see like little change in the way you feel, or you feel like you're progressing in your healing journey, you get more excited. You just feel like you want to learn more and more and more and more. And that's beautiful. You know, I like the fact that you're not only, okay, you know, I'm feeling better, I'm gonna work on myself, that's it. You know, sharing is beautiful. Because especially in today's world, many people are actually struggling, and many people, maybe you found your, I don't know how, like the solution, you know, you're like, okay, now I know how to feel better, I know how to heal myself, but many people don't. So that's why I invite anybody watching this live to follow. I'm sorry, like Antonieta, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name.
No, you're doing fine. You're doing a good job.
Thank you. But I invite you, ladies and gentlemen, to follow her. She's awesome, and I love the fact that you're taking this very seriously. You know, it looks very professional, and you're just giving it your all.
Thank you. And you know, I want to just go back to something you said, because you know, I know that many out there might be really in a similar position or had experienced this in their personal journey. And you know, what you mentioned was that you just started to read books and you found the hope and you started to feel better and better. That doesn't always happen with everybody, right? And that's where I think there's a difference right now in the generation that we are living. We have much more resources and personal growth that is much more of a trending, open conversation to our world right now.
Mm-hmm.
My years, 10 years ago, when I was going through the thick of this wasn't a very open conversation. So I will say there's a bit of a difference happening. And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully we get to a very much more progressive stage that this becomes even depleted into like an issue. So what I want to share is just in something that you mentioned that you experienced. Gratefully, I will say, I believe that you have more of the resources to understand. I can take on reading this book, and I'm going to feel better, and the hope keeps you going.
Sure.
I'm very much aware, and there is very much many people out there that don't have that same experience. And most of the time, the experience can be very lonely for people who either experience depression or very traumatic experiences in their life, and they don't have that next little hope for them, right?
Mm-hmm. You're right.
This is where I just want to share with everybody, anybody who's kind of going through any darkness in their journey, is make sure you do reach out to somebody. You need to have people around you.
You're right.
To understand what you're going through, because if you are going through this alone, you can go through a very dark path. Could be to a different option where we may not have a person with us anymore, and that's the unfortunate thing. I mean, I'll say, thankfully God had a different plan for me, because I was there in that road where I wanted to choose a different way out, and that was many years ago. So today we do have much more of this topic open and available, and to understand and to have the support. So please, anybody who's out there, encourage you, if you're going through a dark phase in your life, if you're going through traumatic experiences, really be vocal. Share with somebody what you're experiencing, what you're thinking, because you cannot allow yourself to go alone in this journey of what you're experiencing, because it can be very lonely, and the dark road could seem very long, and that's where we can oftentimes take a different choice, and that's not necessarily the plan for you.
That's true. I agree with you. Sometimes you are in I totally agree. It's not everybody's case. Like, for example, it's not like that I read a book and then I felt better, but it took a lot of effort. Maybe you get to reading books. That's when maybe after you work on yourself. For example, I started reading Deepak Chopra's books and like the Chakras and meditation, and then you start feeling maybe a little better. But as you mentioned, that doesn't work for everyone. I feel like you really need help, at least someone to take your hand and lead you for the few first steps until you feel comfortable enough to finish your healing journey by yourself.
Mm-hmm. Right. And in my journey of everything that I've been teaching and learning and being a student of, we all are really students of our growth in our our life journey, right? So the healing is not just a one-time thing. The healing continuously go on throughout your life, because there's different layers that you may discover about yourself and realize, I don't want to experience that layer anymore, right? So it might be that you continuously heal. So the healing, I believe, could be a continuous journey, and it could be a beautiful journey if you choose to see it that way, right? It doesn't have to be it's wrong. It doesn't always have to be like there's something wrong with me. It's just, I have something that I would like to work through and understand about myself, and I'm heal through that. So that's I think a beautiful switch of the perspective, that we can take on, is that healing doesn't have to mean like, oh, there's something wrong with us.
So the thing is, maybe a long time ago, people used to think, especially in my country, in Morocco, and most third world country, even in America, like long time ago, if you see a therapist, there is something wrong with you. But now many people, I think we all need a therapist, you know, at some point of our life, or a coach or someone to help us. And I agree with you. I personally don't think the healing journey is like, it's a good thing, you know. It feels good, at least to me. Maybe at the beginning, it's a little tough, you know, like it's like going to the gym for the first time. You go a few days, you're like so tired. Oh my God, it takes a lot of effort. But as you get used to it, you enjoy it more.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
And what's
I agree with you. You know, it's like anything, right? We take on something new. It's different. It's uncomfortable, especially healing through, you know, experiences that have been even in our past life, experiences that have been traumatic. So of course it's very uncomfortable to face that because it's very emotional. It's deep. It's made an impression on our body, our spirit, impression on our mind. So to work through that, we do have to get through a bit of the muck. You know, I call it like dirty muck. And once we get through the muck, you do feel lighter, happier, and you start to see the more authentic truth of who we are, which is happiness, joy, love, right? We are authentically born out of that. And so once we become on that journey to continuously seek that more, of course, our happiness is, you know, is brighter. And so it is definitely not easy. So I will, you know, share with anybody who hasn't taken the time or opportunity to grow through something, is it's not comfortable right off the bat, but anything that is worthwhile, and I'm sure we've all heard this before, anything worthwhile is never going to be easy in the beginning, because if it was, of course, we would all be, you know, fantastic and happy and joyful and, you know, doing growth.
Exactly. That's what I always tell people. I tell them, at least from my perspective, I believe that being happy and having like a balanced life, it takes effort. It takes discipline, like routine. Some people meditate, work out. So my next question is, how do you maintain that state of mind? You know, how do, like, you're like, okay, I worked on myself, I'm here, I was here, I'm here, I'm happy, I'm fulfilled, this. I personally think that it doesn't just, for example, as like someone who become like very, very successful, he doesn't just get to the summit and then he sits there. It's always work. So how do you maintain that?
Right. Good question. And so I'm going to point back to, you know, something that you said just a couple of minutes ago, where you said you believe that it's very important that we all have either a therapist or a coach. And to that point, in this question, yes, that is part of the answer, is to maintain that level of success, to maintain that level of a mindset or way of practice or living. You will need somebody to be of support to you. So whether you call it a therapist, whether you call it a coach, whether you call it your mentor, having somebody who's very committed to you, committed to what you want to get through, or, you know, go, you know, seek through, having that person, so whether it be a coach to support you, is a very valuable way to go about maintaining that. So I think my light just went out. So how I maintain that is, I have, you know, my personal coach. I have my own support partners, and these people hold me to accountability and ensure that I'm continuously practicing what I know is going to keep me in fulfillment, is going to keep me balanced, is going to keep me in the training of what I took on to live that life that I want to live. Beautiful. So that I'll say is part one to the response, is having somebody who's committed to you to continue to maintain, want to practice. And then, of course, number two is part of where I coach, is keeping integrity to yourself. Your personal integrity is your biggest commitment that you can have in this world, in this life. If you don't understand the root of what personal integrity is, you are not living to the most honest person of yourself.
Beautiful.
Does that make sense? You know, does that really land? Because if you don't live your own commitment, you first, then what are you really living for?
Beautiful. Can you tell us more about that so people can understand it?
Absolutely. So, your personal integrity is living authentically to who you are, what's important to you, what's your values, right? And when you have a high standard of that commitment to yourself in life, then whatever you put in your schedule or whatever you put in your practice, you will keep that commitment because you understand and you have a commitment with yourself that is what I'm achieve, right?
Very powerful. I
So,
love that.
yeah, so I'll just give an example of it because if I say to myself, I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week, I will take all of the reasons why going to the gym 3 days a week is important. 3 days a week means that I'm keeping my body healthy, I'm keeping my mind active,
Sure.
I'm, keeping all of these pros of what going to the gym is going to give me. And if that's going to give me the life that I want to experience, which is happy, fulfillment, brain activity, if I understand why the importance of that is, then I will choose to make that commitment. Making that commitment is the personal integrity that I have with myself. If I don't have that level of personal integrity with myself, then what am I living for?
Oh my God, you just said something very powerful. That happened to me just yesterday. Like right now, I'm getting my master's in HR, and I get so. Thank you. I get so many. I have so many like projects to get done. And yesterday I got like really sleepy, and I would say, I'm committed, as you said. You're like, I have to. If you promise yourself, okay, I need to go to the gym, like for example, 3 times a week. If you don't do it, you feel like a failure. You just start building that negative image of your own self. That's why sometimes people think, that's fine. I mean, you really wanted to do this or that. You didn't do it. What's the matter? But for me, that's, you just start something and you don't want to break it. It's like dealing with someone. Like, I promise you, we're going to go grab coffee tomorrow. No matter what, I'm going to make sure I show up and I don't cancel in the last minute. And yesterday I was proud of myself because recently I've been postponing my homeworks and my projects. Yesterday I was so sleepy. I'm like, I'm just gonna do it, not for the professor because he doesn't care, but I'm just gonna do it for myself because I know if I'm like super tired right now and I'm so sleepy and I still get this done, I feel good about myself because you want to start, as you said, like whatever I promise myself, I need to get it. Because as you mentioned, if you don't even honor your own promises to yourself, how are you going to honor anybody's, promises to anybody else?
Right, good. And I love where you're thinking right now because you're on the right track of thinking about integrity with others and integrity with personal self. So those are the two distinctions that I teach in my coaching programs because they're very, very valuable. They're very foundational to how we live out our life, right? So
Exactly.
think about integrity with others. So when you commit yourself to go for coffee with a friend or commit yourself to go to a meeting, you
Yes.
are showing up because you are committed to the integrity of who you are to that person, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Your commitment and your respect is to that person. Now, the personal integrity that I'm also speaking about is, how do I maintain my practice or, my schedule, my life? That personal integrity is a commitment to myself because when you look what you want, what you desire, it comes back to what I desire. Do I desire to feel healthy and, joyful? Do I desire to feel my best?
Yes.
If it's important to me, if that is a valuable importance of how I live my life, then what I do to feel that joyful, happy, and healthy, then putting the practice in place is my commitment to my desire of how I want to experience my life.
Beautiful. I love that. I'm sorry, I'm just plugging my charger. You know, I really love that. And I feel like my whole life is, you know, sometimes many of us, you build certain habits, you know, you keep doing them for a month, two, then you go back to your old habit. Then uh, that was my struggle for a while. So how do you, I know maybe this is very general question, but what's your advice for people who keep falling back to their old habits?
Beautiful. I love this question. So I love this question because we can make this question fun,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because when, you know, often everybody's going to fall off going to the gym routine or, you know, eating healthy or
Yeah.
eating every week. We fall off these routines or, you know, things that we've put into place where we say, I'm going to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
How we can make it fun and, you know, not fall off is build a visual board in your home. And, you know, many people I'm sure have heard the dream board, right?
Me too, yeah.
A vision board. Build a visual board of words that mean a lot to you, or foundational words that mean a lot to you. And so this board will help whenever you look at it, and it's going to be placed in your home somewhere where you can see it every day. Maybe it's on your fridge, maybe it's in your bedroom. And when you come back and look at this board, it should remind you of what you're committed to. If you're committed
Beautiful.
to feeling healthy, let's say in that example, if you're committed to feeling healthy, then on your board, you're going to have a word that reminds you, okay, this is why I'm going to go to the gym today. So,
Nice.
so you can make it fun because you have a visual board and, you know, you're going to put the energy of excitement, love. So I do this as an actual fun practice in some of my coaching programs, and I have my clients take an afternoon, build a visual board of images and strong words that mean so much to you, that have an importance, a meaning, a very signifying meaning to, you know, the foundation of your life. And when you place this board in your home and you're done crafting it and putting these strong, powerful words that mean something to you, and so when you look at this on an afternoon or a day that you have not followed through with your schedule or plan,
Yeah.
this board is a reminder of, aha, this is what I want for myself. Aha,
Beautiful.
I see that image and that is who I am. Aha, integrity means a lot to me, right? So you have these strong images and strong words that are on this visual board, and that can pull you back to, okay, I'm going to the gym today. Okay, I'm going to read that book today. And okay, I'm going to finish this, you know, project today.
Beautiful. I love that. What do you think about writing what you want? What's your take on, like, for example, it's kind of something like that. I used to actually, you reminded me, I need to build um, my new board. I had one, and honestly, you just sometimes you stop doing some great stuff for a while, and then you talk to someone and you remember them, like, oh, by the way, I need to go get back to doing all the good stuff. And I do believe that that, you know, that has a good impact on your life. Um, Sometimes I remember when, you know, when I was pregnant, after pregnancy, I had postpartum depression. And at that time when I was depressed, I spoke to my friend, and she was like, what do you wish? What do you want from this life? I'm like, honestly, I don't want anything anymore. Because when you are at that state, you kind of like, whatever, you're not passionate about anything. And then my friend, she said, Raja, like, whenever you feel this way, remember your why, you know? And I really feel that it's very good to keep your dreams, your whys, where you can see them every day, to remember your why, like, you know, what do you want? What do I want? So when I spoke about writing, it's like basically a journaling. You know, sometimes I like to do that. Honestly, like last year, I wrote so many things. I just say I'm very thankful that I have this. I'm very thankful, and things that I don't even have. Just things that I'm hoping I can have one day. And honestly, I don't know how it works, but maybe I have like 40% of what I wrote, you know, just come true. Um, so what do you think? Do you
Right.
have any idea about this magic?
Yes, yeah, and we can call it magic, and there's also a science to it. So when we look at something repeatedly, the mind does not know if it's actually real, right? So when we look at something repeatedly, it puts an imprint into the mind's impression, and it
Yeah.
starts to configure the behavior of your mind and what you will do within your life to make that scenario happen. So if you're looking at a Ferrari every day on your vision board and you continuously look at that, the mind starts to comprehend that, and it construes scenarios in your life for that to come towards you. That is how powerful our mind is, and it's such a magical
Wow.
is such a magical being that we've been given. And
It's a magnet.
absolutely, it is a magnet, and it is also it is our computer system. It is the most genius thing that we have. So it's our computer system, and this is why it's so important to really protect our boundary of what we are taking in, every day, visually or speaking in the news, and all of this is really important because everything that we see and hear is an impression into our mind.
Wow, that's very true.
Yeah, so it takes an imprint to our computer, and then our computer starts to digest it and starts to construe all of the magnetic fields for that to come into your life. So
Wow.
the reason why these boards are so powerful is because as often as you are going to be looking at this board with the pictures, the words,
Yeah.
then it starts to become part of your life. And
I'm
that's
doing this today, by the way.
yes.
Right after this live, I'm just gonna go to Walmart and buy picture.
So it's a powerful tool. I know very much this generation is becoming more familiar with this tool, but to understand it is, yes, the repetition of looking at this board of images or words and powerful words that mean something for you, that are valuable to you, is actually going to have you pull into the behavior of it and of the magnetic field to happen into your life.
Wow, that's amazing. If we only understand how true that is and how we can actually attract all the beautiful things in our lives, we'll stop complaining. We'll stop using negative words. When you say I am, make sure the adjective after I am is something good. um, Honestly, that's I don't know how that happens, but so many times, every time I read something, or not read, I write something and I mean it. So what I do, I'm thankful for this and for this and for this, and sometimes those things are really big. Like for example, I just want to sit down with the Oprah Winfrey or something, and many of these things happen. I don't know how, but I really believe as long as you feel something is bigger than you and you don't deserve it in your heart, and it's like, oh my God, as long as you feel like that house is too much, no, I cannot even imagine myself owning that place. So you have to get comfortable having that and normalizing having a wonderful life if you want to ever have that wonderful life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yes, I agree. So you do need to believe into what you are, writing or creating as the image. So the why and your desire, your true desires, it's important for everybody to take the time to, at any point in your life. I do this every quarter, to be honest, and I do it very much so at the beginning of the year, is really write down what is my desires this time in my life, right? So understanding your desires is, what do I really want for myself? What do I want for my loved ones? What do I want to be as a person? Who do I want to be out in this world? How do I want to live out this life or live a legacy? So all of those really important questions. It's important for all of us to take some time to really reflect and write that out of, what is my desires? your true desires, not your friends, family, your spouses, your true, right?
Yes.
When you really get concrete of your true desires, then that's the heart speaking. The heart is speaking, right? And if your heart is speaking, then you're going to have belief into it already. To continue the belief as, we go on with our days and life becomes distracting and, we get into the routine.
Yeah.
That's where doing some of like the tools and practices like a vision board or journaling or having an accountability partner becomes important, because it draws you back into what your true desires are and important. And as you remind yourself of what your true desires are, there's a practice of creating the emotion to match it. So if you
nice, tell me about that.
right. So the secondary thing to the law of attraction, you call it, or manifesting, is really creating the emotion, the energy to match that. So not only are we looking at the image, not only are we speaking out, what is it I want this Ferrari, I want this house, and I want this dream partner, but you have to create the emotion to match that type of energy, right?
Beautiful.
Right. So if you're not creating the emotion to match that, then your belief system doesn't believe it.
Wow. That's very powerful. And by the way, that's very, very, very important. As you mentioned, don't write something or hope to have something just because that's what everybody think it's amazing. Maybe your true desire, for example, as far as a house, is just to have, I don't know, a small house, like a family house, or it doesn't have to be like a palace. Maybe like from your heart, you're not really, that's not what you really want. So I love what you just mentioned. It should have emotions with that. When you write something, like your heart sings, you're like, yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want. So that's very, very important point.
Yeah. So it's I'm just recognizing somebody wrote a question, and similar to what you're saying here, is that we can lose, the emotion or the belief for it, because life happens and we get into our regular routine. That's where coming back to the practice of either having an accountability partner or a coach or somebody to remind you of, like, hey, or even reading back into your journal, like if it was something that you wrote at the beginning of the year as a new year like desire, going back to read that again and reminding yourself, this is what I actually want for myself, right? And so having a coach is somebody that's going to help you, is by your side, is to have you remind you, what is it that you really want? What is the life that you want? And then the training is to create the emotion that is the match to that. So let's give an example. You want a love partner, a romantic relationship. Are you being that type of romantic person in your life today? Right?
Wow, beautiful.
You have to create the motion before. It's not like we're living in a world where you can go by the emotion. You have to create that energy, that emotion.
True.
So when you start to create that energy, that emotion that matches the desire that you want, then it's going to become your life. It's going to become into reality.
Wow, beautiful. I always tell my friends on Instagram that you need to match what you want to attract. You cannot just, for example, let's say I'm a woman, I want someone who's fit, who's charismatic, who's successful, but you're not making any effort, or you're far from that image. So I really believe that you have to be that image first, and then eventually similar people will, you're gonna attract them. You'll meet them somewhere. They'll find you.
Yeah.
I think that's very, very important. One more thing, I see you. So what do you know about chakras and meditation? Like if you can just describe it in few words. I know it's a big word. I see you like meditating. So can you give us like an idea to whoever is watching us right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, the chakras are a vast conversation. There's many multiple layers to understand of the chakras, and it's the 7 center points of our body system. Meditation for me is a practice that I do every morning along with prayer. And so, on my road of spiritual alignment and discovering the life that I wanted to live, this became a way of life for me where every morning I sit in quietness and stillness and I pray to my source, my God, and I connect so that I have those messages that are for me to live in the day. Meditation is the practice of it, where, back in, historical biblical days, prayer is a form of meditation. So when you prayer, right? You are in quietness and you are connecting to your source and listening. You're just listening and connecting to your authentic self. So meditation is the practice to come to stillness. It is definitely not easy for anybody who's going to start. Of course, like anything, right? It's a practice, but take it on. I encourage anybody who's listening to really try meditation, even if it's for 5 minutes. I'm sure you're going to hear much of the big speakers of the world. Everybody of the big speakers of the world does do meditation in their life, because that's your center. That is your true answers. Before you listen to anything else out in the world, before you wake up to the news, before you wake up to your phone, before you wake up to your spouse, your children, you tune into meditation, because the meditation is going to give you the answers and the message for you alone. And that's your guiding source. So for me, meditation is my guiding source every day, to sit in stillness and quietness. And yes, some days it's like, oh gosh, I can't focus, or I can't be in stillness because there's so much going on and I'm excited. Or there's, a few days where there's something I have to handle or manage, right? Because life is a wave of different emotions, of course. Right. And even if there's one day where I'm not able to tap into the quietness and the peacefulness, I know the next day I will, come back again and keep training. Or maybe later on in the day, in the evening, come back, sit 5-10 minutes, and just come back to myself, my message.
I love that. Do you know Eat, Love, Pray? Like did you read that?
Yes, of course.
It just reminds me when you said sometimes it's hard to just pray and be like in stillness. It reminds me when she was, I think was it in Indonesia, when she was, trying to pray, and she gets that monkey mind. I think we all get it. You're just like trying to pray, and then you have like waves of like self-talk. So it definitely takes time to get used to it, and to have that mind, to get your mind like quiet.
Yes, absolutely. It's again, just coming back to the reality of modern society, of modern day that we live in. There's so much information that we're taking in, especially, if the night before you're going to sleep right away with, the news or the TV or the phone, those messages are still with us even when we're sleeping until we wake up. So our mind is not settled yet, right? We are not in stillness or in a quietness yet, because our mind still has those images, thoughts, and words, and all of that. So it's really important to continue the practice, and it does become easier. And also know that you will have some days where, depending on whatever's going on in your life, you may not be able to find yourself as in peaceful or in stillness in your meditation. But that's okay. Don't make it yourself wrong for it. Just keep coming back and keep continuing to do this.
Beautiful. So I have like 2 last points, and then, because I know I told you 1 hour, but maybe like for more 10 minutes, that's it. Just 2 points.
Sure.
How would you, the first point is like, how do you describe your day? So what's the daily practices that you do every day to maintain this state of mind? That's first thing, before I forget. And then after that, just some piece of advice to anyone who's watching us right now.
Right, right. So what a typical day would look like for me for sure is um, my morning is very much dedicated to me. Um, I wake up at 6:30. There are some days that I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I do a reading with a group. Typically, it's 6:30 in the morning, and my practice to keep my life in a balance and fulfillment into what I desire is making sure that I connect with my God. So I pray. I spend time in meditation. I then do reading. So I do about half an hour reading of a book, and the book is always about world knowledge or personal development, growth, leadership. Really growing the human mind, body, and spirit. After I do reading, then I go outside for some walking. So 25 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, because if it's a beautiful morning, I am
Nice.
I'm so connected to the earth, Mother Earth. She provides so much to us.
I
If
love
we
that.
if we truly give her some time, give Mother Earth our time, she will give you so much more.
Of
And
course.
we really don't I think practice this enough. So I dedicate 25 minutes, sometimes an hour, to going outside, walking. In my walking, I listen to binaural beats, or I listen to a motivational like speaker. I listen to something that is going to fuel my thoughts for positive thoughts. So always keeping the positive mind active before I tune into, oh God, what I gotta do today, what is work, what is the emails, what is the news saying, like all of that can happen when I'm ready.
Beautiful.
When I'm ready is when I've tuned into what I need first, fill my cup up, fill my mind up, fill my body with movement, so to keep it moving. Our body is physical, right? So it needs to.
Nice.
So this is pretty much standard every morning for me. And then I go into my desk and, okay, what do I have to do for my day and what am I completing and so forth.
Wow, that's really beautiful. One more thing. How is your diet? How does your diet look like?
Well,
Because I heard some food. I know somebody said like some food make you sad. Anything that's not healthy.
yes, absolutely. And what I'll leave with everybody, as you ask, is what can I leave as a note, a takeaway, is that we all have to really take a step back to analyze what this world is giving us, right?
Sure.
Everything is so mass produced, everything is fast and convenient. The world is evolving at a very fast pace. So that comes with the food, the resources, the people, the behavior on a very fast pace, and it's very easy to take anything that doesn't have value or substance. So when we take on food that is from fast, where is this food coming from? But when you think of food that comes from fast production, it most of the time is not going to have very valuable, sustainable nutrients and substance to
Sure.
have feel good. So in the example of what can give us negative impacts of the food that we eat, of course, anything that is very fast or in, I'd say, paper that's in plastics, anything that's in plastics and paper, it's going to be reproduced, right? So always trying to go in the most fresh way, right? So that, back to your question, what does my diet look like? I consciously, when I go out to buy food, always try to make sure the majority, like 90%, even maybe 95%, the 90% of whatever is in my cart that I'm going to buy is all fresh food. So that is like, you need to eat it within the day, 2 days, 3 days max. Anything that is in a box and paper and all of this, it's not going to have a very fruitful nutrients that's going to give your body the proper valuable energy or the nutrients to sustain clear mind, clear health, all of that.
Beautiful.
So my diet, just to sum up, is majority is about 90% vegetarian. very fresh foods, fruits, vegetables, and so forth. And then, of course, you know, the 10% when, you know, life is all, obviously the reality of life is, you know, we have to have maybe some, you know, rice or things that come in the plastics and the boxes. And, you know, that's what I choose as the diet to live for myself, knowing that I'm going to eat a 90% to 10%. Yeah. And if I do eat off balance for an evening and I enjoy a nice, you know, cheat meal, you know, cheat meal with friends and girlfriends, and I, you know, I do love my sugar sweet stuff, you know, like a little piece of cake. I know that if I'm going to enjoy this, the next day I'm going to balance it with something very healthy and fresh.
Definitely. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for everything and for your time. We learned a lot with you, and I invite again anyone watching this live. It's gonna be saved on my page to follow Antonieta. So you're gonna learn a lot. You know, she has like a really beautiful coaching program. She's all about empowering others and empowering women. Before ending this live, I wish it could last forever, but everybody needs to do something. But just your last advice to, especially to ladies going through a tough time right now.
Absolutely. You know, it is definitely on this very difficult for many people. So I'll leave two pieces of takeaways for everybody. Is really, in this world of so much chaos and so much distraction and so much that is, you know, thrown at us, commit to yourself to have every day in your life, whether it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, to just be in quietness for yourself. Everybody just commit to having a little time in your day every day. And as you do it every day, you are going to come closer to your inner happiness, because you are listening to you first before anything else out in the world, okay? So take some time, everybody. I know right now this world is going through a lot of different changes and things like this. Take 10, 15 minutes every day. Commit to yourself to be in quietness and just reflect and just let whatever is there for you to listen to in your mind, just let it be, and take time to be in quietness. My takeaway for all the women who, you know, who've been through, you know, and this is where I work with women in emotional blockages. So those who are experiencing, you know, sadness, depression, toxic relationships, traumatic experiences in your past, reach out to somebody. My takeaway is, please share. I encourage you to reach out to a friend, somebody that you know who's in your life that is confident, that you can trust, whether that's maybe a coach you want to have a conversation with, maybe it's a mentor. Reach out to one person and ask them that, you know, you can have a conversation to share about what you're dealing with, what you're experiencing, okay? I promise you that conversation, something will shift and something good will come out of it. But you have to just take that first step to share with a trusted friend, a trusted, confident person that you know in your life, or maybe you reach out to, you know, Raja or me or another mentor that you admire, and just let them know you want to talk about some experience that you're going through.
Perfect.
So I encourage every female to do that, and I know there will be something more positive that's going to come to new life for you.
Awesome. Oh my God. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this live. Thank you so much for your time. I hope we have, you know, we have more lives in the future, because this type of talks are, like, to me and to many people, are like just some type of like healing, like medicine, you know. Many hearts and many souls need to hear these words. Thank you so much, Antonieta. And I wish you best of luck. Keep in touch, and I hope to see you very, very successful at what you're doing.
Of course. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody who joined in, and God bless. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.